Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-bop. Doodle Bible School. This is where we take the Bible and we try to doodle it. And we giggle it. And we memorize it. And we do whatever we can to get it in our heads. All right, everybody needs to get your doodle-later and your doodle-a-dee. And here you go. You can draw with me. See what I did there? Okay, we are, as you know, navigating the book of Numbers. There's my man Moses. As he comes popping on the screen, he says we're on our way to the promised land. Problem is, Moses doesn't get to go because Moses messed up. He was supposed to speak to the rock. Instead, he hit the rock in order to get water to come from it. And God said, okay, man, you're not going to get to go. And so Moses doesn't get to actually go into the promised land. But he does take him right up to the doorstop. And we're going to talk about that later on, the idea of going into the promised land. But right now, navigating Numbers, we're getting to the last few chapters of the book of Numbers. We're into chapter 33 this morning. So, first part we do the doodle, as you know. Now, for those of you who haven't been with me before, doodling is just simply taking the chapter number, and Gabriel, he makes the chapter number become a picture. And that picture is supposed to represent what that chapter is about. Okay? This one's a pretty easy one, actually. I'm thankful for that because I'm not much of a doodle-a-teeter. But anyhow, here's the ones we've covered so far. All the way over here, you see chapter 21. That was the brass serpent that they put on a pole, you might recall. And over here you got the talking donkey. Remember Balaam and all that? Anyhow, those are all the stories that we've covered so far. But we're down here to chapter 33. And in chapter 33, you're going to notice that the 3 looks like it's looking into the mirror and seeing itself. Kind of a reflection, right? Okay, well, that's the idea of chapter 33 is kind of a review. What's going to happen is Moses is going to go back through his notes. I didn't know this until just studying just recently, but Moses evidently kept a diary as they were traveling through the wilderness. And he writes down all the various places that they stopped and the events and all that kind of thing. Well, that makes sense because remember, Moses is the one who writes the book of Exodus. He also writes the book of Numbers. And so he's the guy who's recording all this. But it was evidently because he had made notes along the way. Anyhow, so chapter 33, for whatever reason, Moses decides, okay, we're going to go back and look at the story as it's unfolded so far. We'll see some of that here in a moment. But the first thing we got to do is we have got to draw our, what do you call them? 3s. Okay, there you go. Got you a 3? All right, I got to get it up here you can see it. Okay, now we got to draw us a mirror. Okay, and let's put us another 3 inside the mirror. Does that look like it? Yeah, that's not bad. Most of the time I do pitiful. All right, let's give this mirror a little bit more of a frame here. Okay, see how I did that? Does that look like? So the 3 is looking in the mirror and seeing itself. And so you got 33. And the 33 is supposed to remind you that it's a review. It's like a reflection. It's like Moses is looking back on what they have accomplished, what they have done. And so the theme for 33 is it's the review of the journey. Now I'm going to put this masterpiece right up here so you guys can just be all giggly about it. Oh dear. I grabbed my marker without the lid on it. That's a good way to get a black thumb. I've heard of green thumbs, but not a black thumb. Anyhow, there you go, 33. Review of the journey. So stick that in your head now because that's what we're going to be thinking about for Numbers chapter 33. All right. So if I were to ask you a question over segment number 1, remember there's 5 segments to our Bible class. If I were to ask you a question for segment number 1, it would be this. What is the theme of Numbers 33? Oh yeah. See there? It's right there. Can you doodleate it? Sure, you can. That's the second question that's up there. But the first question is, what's the theme? Review of the journey. It's like he's looking in the mirror and thinking back about how he used to look back in the past or whatever. All right, guys, time for our first joke. Old Big-Eyed Bob, I like to call him. And Big-Eyed Bob says, why are elevator jokes so good? Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm not big on elevator jokes, and I'm really not big on elevator music. I had to ride an elevator several times this week because my father-in-law is in the hospital. They didn't have any music or jokes, but, you know, elevators are boring places. Big-eyed Bobs. Why are elevator jokes so good? I'll tell you why. Because they work on many levels. Landon's even giggling at that one. You see, they work on, because it takes you up the story. Yeah. Yeah, Big-eyed Bob, you did okay on that one. All right, segment number 2. In segment number 2, we make a memory. We exercise our brains a little bit here. This is the part that I'm not really big into because I don't like exercising of any sort. But anyhow, this is where we get a memory verse, okay? Numbers chapter 33, I'm going to suggest to you that the verse that we should memorization aching in our heads is number 1. Memorize number 1, 33 and 1. These are the stages of the people of Israel when they went out of the land of Egypt by their companies under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. That kind of is a summary of what's happening in this particular chapter. Hey, my wife is watching. She says, good one. She liked it too, evidently. So there we can all giggle together. All right, so here's the way you memorize your verses. You just say each line 5 times. These are the stages, these are the stages, these are the stages, these are the stages, these are the stages. There, it's stuck in your brain. Now you add the next line. Of the people of Israel. Of the people of Israel, 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 of the people. These are the stages of the people of Israel. These are the stages of the people of Israel. These are the stages of the people of Israel. These are the stages of the people of Israel. These are the stages of the people of Israel. See what I did there? Yeah, you just got to be goofy. And you know, kind of make a rap out of it, a rhyme out of it, whatever. You can even, get up and dance around the floor or whatever. But the whole point is just get it stuck in your head. And so these are the stages of the people of Israel. See, we've already got the first 2 lines. And so by the time the end of the week comes and you've done all your classes, you're going to have it stuck right there. It's just going to be like, whoop, whoop, and you're going to have it for the final test. These are the stages of the people of Israel. Now, if that don't work, there's another thing you can do. You can write it down on some sticky notes, and you can leave blanks so that whenever you pass a sticky note, you got to fill in the blank. See what I'm saying? And so, you put it on the bathroom mirror. You put it, put it on the do you drive? Well, then put it on the steering wheel. You don't drive? Well, then don't put it on the steering wheel. I don't know. Put it places where you'll remember. And then every time you pass by it, you got to fill in the blank. These are the stages of the people of Israel. See, I've already got the first 2 lines. Because these are the stages of the people of Israel. Now, I haven't a clue what the rest of it is. Because I didn't memorize that. All right, that's segment number 2. All right, come on. There it is. Coming up. Here it is. Woo! So, questions for segment number 2. What does the review... No, what? Sonny, come on. When does the review of events begin? That's a good question. I don't remember. Does anybody remember? Let's go back and get our memory verse again. These are the stages of the people of Israel when they went out of the land of Egypt by their companies. Oh, when they left Egypt. That's the answer to your question. So, let's go back here. Come on. Boy, it's slow this morning. I don't know. Segment number 2. When does the review of events begin? It begins in Egypt. When they leave Egypt, that's when it begins. And can you quote the memory verse? Absolutely not. But I get the first 2 lines. These are the stages of the people of Israel. See what I did there? All right. Now here's Lollipop Lily that she's got a joke too. What's she got? How did the barber win the race? I got to be honest with you. When a barber's cutting my hair, I don't want him to be racing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got those sharp things, I don't want that. No. Cindy cuts my hair, and she's only clipped me 1 time, and she felt so bad about it. And I don't think it even bled, but it hurt. So Cindy, whenever you clip my hair, she's my barber. Whenever you clip my hair, honey, don't be racing. All right, when, not when, Sonny. How did the barber win the race? I'll tell you how he won the race. He used a shortcut. He used a buzz cut. Oh, these are funny, aren't they? Maybe not that funny, but anyhow. All right, segment number 3. In the 3rd segment, we're going to ponder a passage. See, like my man here, we're sitting by the pond and we're pondering. We're going to think hard. Cindy says, okay. Cindy says you got to slow down when she cuts my hair. Thank you, honey. Okay, ponder a passage as we sit by the pond and we say, All right, here's what we're doing. In Ponder a Passage segment, we look at a bigger part of this passage, more than just the memory verse, and we say, okay, here's what the chapter is really talking about, and we think about it. All right, way up here at the top, okay? They set out from Ramses in the first month of the 15th day of the first month. So, where did they leave from? What city? The city of Ramses. And where is that city? What country is that city in? Egypt. Very good. So, that's when they set out. And it was on the day after the Passover. And you might remember the Passover. That's a pretty big deal. Because at the Passover, that's when the death angel passed over the homes because they had the blood of the lamb on them. And the death angel says, I'm not going to go in there because I got the blood, which represents what you and I have today with Jesus, when his blood were covered with Jesus, or the blood of Jesus in baptism, right? And so that blood covers us. And so the death angel says, it's not that we won't die physically, but we will not die spiritually. We get to go to be with God forever. Anyhow, so they left on the day after the Passover. Okay. And it says the people of Israel went out triumphantly in the sight of all the Egyptians, while the Egyptians were burying their firstborn whom the Lord had struck down among them. On their gods also the Lord had executed judgments. And so what were the Egyptians doing when the Israelites were leaving? Well, they were burying their firstborn because they were so stubborn and they mistreated God's people, and then they wouldn't let them go when they said they wanted to leave, etc. They were really bad to them. And God says, okay, well, you're going to be punished for that, and they were. Verse 15, and they set out from Rephidim, and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. Verse 38, and Aaron and the priest, not Aaron and Aaron the priest, he is the priest, and Aaron the priest went up Mount Hor at the command of the Lord and died there. So where did Aaron die? Mount Hor. In the 14th year after the people of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt. And on the first day of the 5th month, and Aaron was 123 years old when he died. That's an old man. That's older than me. 123 years old when he died. And they went out from the mountain of Abram and camped, and you can read the rest of that. So there you go. There's our 5. Well, let me just put them up here. So from that, everything that was underlined, that's going to be on your final test, right? And so here are the questions. Voila. Those are the questions that you're going to have on your final test. Everybody got those in your head? Well, good for you. All right, moving on. Another silly. Every time we go to a different segment, we put a silly up, and I like that. This guy, he's got a revolving face. I don't know what you do with this fellow, but get dizzy, I guess. What did one hat say to the other hat? I don't even wear hats, so this one doesn't apply to me. But if you wore a hat, and you do, you do? Well, okay. All right, so you got 2 hats. They're talking to each other. They're hanging on the hooks. They're just talking to each other. What did one hat say to the other hat? He said, you wait here, I'll go on ahead. Get it? One hat's just going to stay hanging and the other one's going to go on ahead because he's not going to stay. Oh, man, sometimes I just kill myself with these jokes. Oh, dear. Okay, moving on. Segment number 4. If you were speaking Spanish, that will be cuatro. Doing, doing, doing. I love my question mark is these doing, doings here. Okay, apply the why. This is where we take that same passage and we say to ourselves, that's old stuff, as written all of that. Who cares? Well, I'm going to tell you, we should all care because God wrote it. But there's one part in here that I try to draw out from every passage. I say, that's kind of interesting. Verse 38, it kind of ties into our life. And Aaron the priest went up Mount Hor and at the command of God, and he died there. Do you know any places where special people are buried? I do. Actually, there's several cemeteries that I have visited in the past. Where one of them where my granny's at, and she was very, very special to me. And my other grandparents, they're in a different cemetery, and I've visited their cemetery and things like that. So yeah. And do you ever go there? When do you go there? All right. So what I need you to do is I need you to write me a short. Very short, no big, I don't need a dictionary here, okay? Just a short answer. Answer that question. Do you know any places where special people are buried? And do you ever visit them? Now, what we found out in our Bible study was that Aaron was he died and he was buried where? Top of Mount Hor. Very good. So, I don't know whether they went back and visited him every once in a while or not. I don't know. But they might have. But it's kind of a special place because Aaron was a special dude. You know what I'm saying? He was the high priest. All right, our last joke of this fine morning would, I can't remember what we call this guy. Big Tooth Terry, maybe? I don't remember. And I don't know why he's got a big tooth, except I guess to make him look silly. This one actually makes sense. You're going to appreciate this one. Why don't the circus lions eat the circus clowns? That's a toughie, if you ever thought about it, you know. You got the circus lions, and you got the circus clowns. And one thing about the clowns is they're constantly agitating people, you know. I would think the lions would strike out and they would just eat the clowns. So, why don't the circus lions eat the circus clowns? I'll tell you why. It's because they taste funny. Because the clowns are funny. Oh, dear. All right, folks, there you go. All right, well, that brings us to the conclusion of our fourth segment, which means we go to segment number 5, climactically so. Guess what it is? Segment number 5, it is time to test. And we call him Frank. I don't know why we call him Frank, but we do. And Frank is always scared of the test because Frank has not been paying attention. He's laughed at all the jokes, but he forgot all the information. Frank, you got to pay attention to the right stuff here, man. It's not the jokes. It's the other stuff that counts. All right, here you go, guys. Here's your final test. There's all 10 questions right there in front of you. There's old Frank, and he's still scared. But anyhow, there you go. There's all your test questions. I love water. So that's chapter 33, folks. What's the theme of 33? Review of the journey, right? Can you doodle the picture? Obviously I can. When does a review of events begin? Egypt. Can you do the memory verse? Not even close. From where did the Israelites head out? Ramses. On what day did the Israelites leave triumphantly? Was it the Passover? No. It was the day after the Passover. Anyhow, you get the rest of those, I think. You can take care of those. So, folks, there you go. That's chapter 33 of the book of Numbers. Thank you for being with me. My name's Sonny Childs. What's your name? Oh, well, it's nice to meet you. Glad to have you with me every Sunday morning. I love you. Be there. Matthew 16:26.